welcome to Melanie's Muses, where I muse about things in the entertainment world that are entertaining to me, and sometimes a few vague and other random videos too. But today I am here with author Sherry Ficklin for an author chat. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm great. It's cover reveal day. I am so excited to see my baby out in the wild a little bit.
Yeah. Now I've seen the cover, and I'm actually going to pop the cover up. Actually, I'll do it at this part in the video when I edit it. I mean, it's live on everywhere, but this will go up on Wednesday, so it'll have been out in the wild for a couple of days before. But my muses might not have seen it, so I didn't post it on my page because my muses get to see it in this. That's what they get.
Yeah, you got to watch the video.
Gotta watch the video. Okay, sure. You want to tell us a little bit about what you do, what you write, and whatever for muses that don't know you? I talk about your stuff a lot, so they should have a fair idea of who you are if they've been paying attention.
I like to just assume nobody's ever heard of me. That's the safest bet. So yeah, but it's funny because I feel like I've been doing this forever, since the dark ages of 2000. I think I published my first book in 2005, and wow. I've been just writing nonstop since. My first series was very terrible, but it was enough to get my foot in the door, and once I started writing, I fell in love with it. I had always written like fan fiction online, which is such a fun playground to learn how to write and tell stories. And one day my long-suffering husband was like, why don't you just write something you can actually sell? So I did, and I never looked back. I want to say this is my 17th or 18th published novel now.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you. There's a lot of Sherry Ficklin. Go to her page on Amazon. There's a lot of books there.
Yes, and it's been such an amazing journey. I have been very fortunate that I've been with publishers that really give me a lot of free reign, and then I've sort of done some indie stuff, and I've really been able to just write whatever I wanted. So it's not like, oh, I'm a romance author, or oh, I'm a science fiction author. It's literally everything. If there's a genre out there, I've written in it. My brain just doesn't like to sit still, and I'm constantly inspired by new things. So, I have the steampunk series, and I have the historical romance series, my best-selling Stolen Empire series. And then I've got some mysteries and some paranormal and some contemporary romance. And then this is my first foray into historical fantasy. So this was really fun and different for me. It's not quite like anything I've done before. Yes.
Hence our get up for today. It was a definite theme.
It was a theme. So it was definitely new for me writing historical fantasy. So I really enjoyed it, but I write just a little bit of everything. So odds are very good. If there's a genre you can find one of my books in it.
So was it difficult? Because like you said, you mentioned the Stolen Empire series, which is one of my all-time favorite series. For those of you that watch stuff on Hulu, and there's that, I know it's called The Great or Captain the Great, whether, don't watch that. That is rubbish. I've said it on my show loads of times. That is rubbish. Go and read Sherry's Stolen Empire series. The whole series is out. You can go beginning to end. You're all out there. But was it difficult, like changing? Because obviously, although it's not 100% fact, just like with the TV shows, you definitely have a lot of fact in the Stolen Empire series. So was it difficult to make that transition into the more fantasy realm? How did you do
it? Was definitely harder. Because you have to create the world and the rules of the world and the different races of people completely from scratch. So you have to very early on sort of set your boundaries and say, this is these people, and this is their history, and this is this part of the world, and this is its history. And with the Stolen Empire series being historical Russia, I had so much that I was able to just pull and draw from. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because actually part of that research is what inspired this story. When I was doing research, I actually went really far back in the Romanov line when I was researching the Stolen Empire series. And the very first of the Romanov kings lived in a society where there was a thing called Tarim, which was this very oppressive society that the women of Russia lived in. The noble women weren't ever allowed to show their faces, and they weren't allowed to speak in public. And they were actually segregated into a section of the palace called Tarim, where all the noble ladies went, and they weren't to be viewed by anyone other than their husbands. So it was this really interesting dynamic for me. And I was sort of researching the first Prussian king who started sort of chipping away at that and how that came about. So that's a big part of the story that I tell in this, is this idea that you've got this this kingdom of people who really suppress their women under the guise of protecting their women, and what happens when you kind of start to buck against that tradition. So that was really fun. So in a way it inspired this, but it's completely off the rails from there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's so interesting because obviously your Stolen Empire series focuses on these very, very strong women characters and women royalty and women rulers. And
yes,
I don't know. I mean, the Russian history is not a big part of the stuff that I've like. I'm more the Tudors and things like that. But I love the Stolen Empire series. But to think that is a huge change to go from being a very you can't even be seen to pretty much being paraded around as is needed for whatever the intent is royally at that time.
Yeah, to being in charge of the country. Yeah, that was huge leaps and bound steps for Elizabeth of Russia and then Catherine the Great. They were the first really sort of breakthrough women, but there were several ahead of them that started the process and made it to where they could. Yeah, so that's very much where my main character in Kingdom of Shadows and Dust is. She's sort of that first generation that starts to break away and chip away at these traditions. So
now, you said historical fantasy. Does that mean there's magic involved? Do we have magic rules in that?
Yes, we do have magic. It's very I call it Arthurian because it's very similar in that you have these characters. You have the Magus, who are the wizards of the world, and you have the Turnskin, who are wolf shifters. And so you have these different magical elements, but really at the core, it's Ava's story. And she's sort of, I compare her to like my Guinevere character. Like she's sort of this girl who's, got a father who's absolutely determined to marry her off for alliance, and she's not having any of it. So she's my very strong-willed character who's sort of breaking out of society, and she has to use these magical elements and these other people and these other races who she's been taught are kind of evil and sort of to be shied away from. So she has to sort of enlist their help just to survive.
That's very Arthurian. I mean, especially the TV version Arthurian, where you had Merlin and Arthur, and that's one of my favorite shows. And I guess a little Morgana inspired with my outfit with them.
I love a little Morgana. It's my the character I would consider my Merlin character in this book's name is Joan, and she is fantastic.
Love that she is.
Yes, she is the character that knows everything and knows she knows everything, but she's only going to tell you what she needs you to know to get you where she wants you to be. Do you know what I mean?
Fabulous.
I love characters that hold back and just sort of parcel out details for you to kind of manipulate you into place. So she was a lot of fun to play with.
Oh, I'm sure. And you're very good at manipulating your readers with your stories. I've read quite a few Sherry books, and some of them definitely leave me wanting to throttle you. I'm not going to lie. Some of the cliffhangers are, and I'm sure you smile. Actually, I think that's one of the questions on here. Oh, yes, Susan says, do you feel guilty about killing off certain characters, or are you one of those authors like her who just thinks it has to be done? And I already know the answer to this one. Go on.
I love killing characters.
I know.
I try never to kill a character without a purpose. It's sometimes in like Losing Logan, he's dead on page 1. Like it's the story of what happens after. I got a lot of flack for the Queen books for killing certain characters, but I never killed anyone that didn't have to die, or they didn't actually die. Historical fiction, they're all dead. Spoiler alert. So eventually you get to the point where they're all dead. But I always try, if I'm going to kill a character, it's not going to be sort of for shock value. It's going to be because that needs to happen to drive the story forward. Even in this one, we have a character that dies pretty early on, and it's pretty sudden and shocking to people. And they're like, you did what? My beta reader staff, my PA was like, you cannot kill this character. And I was like, I need you to just be patient with me for a little bit.
I need you to just accept the fact that this character is dead and keep reading.
Yes. Yeah, just keep going. Well, it'll all come around, the reason why. So
now, are there characters that I know when I've spoken to other authors, sometimes you get the thing where you don't know that the character's going to die, and then all of a sudden they're dead. And there are other characters that you think, okay, I'm going to plan their death, and then they just won't die no matter what you do. They just like.
I had a couple characters like that, yeah. Deaths very, very rarely do they surprise me, again, because usually from a storytelling point there's a reason I have to kill that character. But I think it's one of the few things that really changes a person when you lose someone you love, or when you fall in love, especially for the first time. Those are sort of those pivotal moments that forge who you are, and how you react to those losses and those loves says a lot about you as a person. So when I'm looking at a character, you know, I have to give them both heartbreak and joy, and I try to do it in equal measure. So
now I was looking, because I can't believe nobody asked this, so I'm going to ask it because it's one of my favorite questions. Are you a plotter or a pantster?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I consider myself a hybrid writer.
I refuse to be put in a box.
Like sort of I always start with like the basic beats, like, this is my character, this is what my character wants, and this is how I'm going to stop them from getting what they want. And I sort of lay that out. I don't go into a great detail, because inevitably by about a third way through the book, my characters run amok on me and just start doing whatever the crap they want to anyway. So I just have to I plot to a point, and then I take that plot and I light it on fire.
Just let them, the characters can run
and just let them lead. Yeah.
So you said that the characters in your new book are very much, obviously it's very female led. So how do you go about creating do you have it in your head, like, I'm going to create a really strong female version? Like you said, you have a female version of Merlin. I mean, not as Merlin, but obviously that's a character that is very recognizable in the contemporary thing, and there's a lot of stuff going on. How do you go about taking that and going, okay, I'm going to gender switch this? And especially if you're coming from a thing where women don't have the power. So you've got sort of like two things going forward. You've got an unusual woman character, and you've got women that weren't in power that are sort of coming into power. Is that difficult?
It's interesting. It's almost never deliberate. Like I never like sit down deliberately and say, well, I need a character who's, you know, good with computers, so it needs to be a girl, because normally it would be a boy. Like that doesn't even cross my mind when I'm writing. It's really sort of about what the main character needs from the side characters and what they can give them. So in very early drafts, I sort of, in my plot, I had Yoan as a male, and it just didn't work with my two characters. The way that they interacted wasn't working. So I think, I mean, I'd probably only written maybe 40 pages when I was like, so totally reworked that character. And it just, for me, it worked better as a female. It wasn't sort of about, you know, feminism, which is great, but that wasn't what it was about for me. It's always sort of more organic than that. It's never deliberate.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons the storylines work so well, is because it is organic. I find that anytime anyone tries to force something, you go, okay, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it like that, you don't get the best stories. You've got to, like you said, you had it was a guy and then it wasn't working, so you like scratched that. See, that's the sort of thing I couldn't do. I'd be so stubborn. I'd be like, no, I want it to be a guy, and I'm going to keep it as a guy, and everyone else is going to have to bend. And
it's the same with like a character's sexuality. Sometimes I go into it assuming one way or another, and I'm proven absolutely wrong very early on. There's sort of a side character in this book, and I'm going through the plot for the next book and sort of what this character did in this book, and I was trying to sort of understand why he did what he did. And then as I grew to understand that and understand him more as a character, because he's more of a portion in the second book, I was like, oh, it's because he's, you know, in love with this person. And it just changed a lot for me. But it was never like, oh, I need a queer character. It was just like, oh, that's what this character is. And I didn't realize.
And I think that's the best way to do it. I think if you start, I think authors who are trying to check boxes and to make sure they have everything represented, it doesn't work. It unfortunately, as much as you've got to go with what is right for the story and let it be story driven, because us as readers, I 100% can tell if you're doing a box check, and I'll just be like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know that we've worked together for a long time. You know that I'm just like,
you're like, no, yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to ask you another one of the Muser questions. Mayrose had a lot of questions on her thing. She loves to ask questions. Mayrose, she's at my live every week. She's fabulous, and she's a real 80s girl as well. You'd love her.
Nice.
She said, do you have a favorite character that you always carry with you?
Yes. And that would be Zoe from Losing Logan.
Really?
Zoe is one of the few characters that was actually built around, that whole book was built on real experiences that I had in high school and real people that I knew. And she's so much a part, not just of me, but of the people that I knew in that period of my life, that she's always there, just kind of right below the surface.
And so, she has the best insults. So much so that I remember I remember making an insult generator for Zoe because her insults are the best.
Yes. And she's very much like me in that, you know, sometimes you wish you look back on a situation and say, oh, I wish I thought to say that in the moment. I almost always think to say that in the moment. So I'm very sort of quick with a insult, which is not a great thing. But that part of me is very much Zoe. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. She also asked about when you first attempted writing, and we actually went over that at the beginning. So Mayrose, I'm sure you watched the beginning of this, so we sort of covered that. But she has some other fun ones too. She said, have you ever disliked someone so much that you wrote them into a book just so you could kill them off? Ha! That's a yes. That's a yes, but you don't want to say who it is.
It's a yes, and I'm not going to say who it is, but yes.
And she doesn't ask who it is.
It is also a character. I don't know. So I'll tell you who the character was. So the character was Elizabetta from the Stolen Empire series, who was based on someone. She was based on someone I'm not close with. And when I wrote her death scene in that book, I actually wrote it like 4 different ways. So on my desktop, I have a file just labeled The Many Deaths of Elizabetta, because I went through and I wrote like her gruesome death several different ways and then picked one to put in the book. But I mean, at one point I had her eaten by wolves. Like I had all these crazy things. It was very cathartic.
Did you have fun? That would 100% be me. I'm not even gonna lie. I would totally. And people said to me, because Tamara has a character in one of her books called Melanie, and it was completely no coincidence at all. And she said, when I said to her, is there anything you want to ask me? She said, I've wanted to ask you for years if you thought Melanie was based on you, and did you think that I turned you into an evil goblin and killed you off? And I was like, I did wonder, but I wouldn't have cared. I'm totally game for being evil in a book and kill off. You know, have at it. But I just thought that it was funny to me that she worried about that. And then you know, I'm just going to kill off everybody. But you won't name names. So,
yeah.
And I have no idea who that is. And I'm sitting here, like the cogs are turning now. It's like...
It's no one yet. I don't think it's anyone knows. It's just somebody like from my past that I had.
Somebody in your life. Oh, well,
like issues with for a while, and it just kind of stuck. I don't really have people that I would consider enemies in my life. I'm very fortunate. But when I dislike someone, it sticks.
It sticks. 100%. I can get that. Like you cross me and you're crossed forever. It's like I don't have a forgive gene. It's like that.
Yeah, I don't have the forgive gene. So
we're just painting that. No forgive. So I'm going to skip to one of Susan's questions just because I kind of know the answer to this, because I was around, not with you, but I was posting pictures from the particular convention when it was happening. So I got a lot of the inside story. Susan says, how awesome is John Barrowman in person? I bet he gives the best hugs. You got to tell the John Barrowman story now. That's like,
okay. So I was at Comic-Con in New York. It was either my first or second one. I had never been before, and I had never done the celebrity thing where you go and meet the celebrities. I was running late from a panel. I get down. I'm the last person in his line, the very, very last person in his line. And his handler comes through the line, and he's like, okay, hooker rules. Anything's cool. No kissing on the mouth. And I was like, yes. So I get up to him finally, and I'm like, I'm the last person. And he's like, get over here. And he gives me a big hug, and he's fabulous. And I'm like, can I touch your butt? And he's like, only if I can touch yours. So we have this picture where I'm grabbing his butt and he's grabbing my butt, and it's fabulous. And I blacked out for like 30 seconds after that. Like the next thing I remember is like, I'm outside of the room. He's gone. I'm like weeping gently. Like it was amazing.
That is so amazing. I mean, I always get the impression that that's how he would be. I mean, for me, John Barrowman has been around for much longer than I think he has for American markets. I mean, he kind of came into the American market with Doctor Who, obviously, as Captain Jack, and now most people think Johnny Depp. When you say Captain Jack, I will always think Captain Jack.
Oh, he's always my Captain Jack.
And then it's like when I was talking to Susan, she's like, oh yeah, because I think of him as Merlin in Arrow, and I'm like,
in Green Arrow, yeah.
I suppose. I mean, yeah, I mean, like part of my brain recognizes that he's in that.
Yeah.
But to me, he's always pantomimes and Larger Than Life and Doctor Who and the conventions. And I mean, he wore TARDIS dress to the convention, for goodness sake. How amazing was that?
He's amazing. I will never now go to a convention where he's at and not go see him. We were at Denver Comic-Con a couple years ago, and not only was he there, but he held a private party.
I remember that
and tickets were so expensive, and we couldn't get tickets, so we went and saw him, and he was kind of chatting us up, and he's like, so what are you guys doing here? And we're like, oh, we're authors, we're here doing signings. And he's like, you should come to my after party. And I was like, well, we wanted to, but the tickets were all gone. And he's like, I'll put your name on the list. Like fangirl moment, totally. So we go to this after party, and he does this fantastic like monologue and meets and greets everybody. And then afterwards, we kind of stuck around to help his crew like clean up chairs and stuff. And he came out, and his husband Scott came out, and his parents were there. So I have like pictures with the whole family, and they were fabulous. All of them were amazing. So he's actually my favorite John. In my cell phone, my son John is listed as my second favorite John, and John Messenger is listed as my third favorite John in my phone.
Hilarious. John Barrowman is at the top. Yeah, there's John my cell phone. Yeah, there's my cell phone. We actually went through my cell phone on a live the other week because my contacts, I have fictional contacts in my phone. I mean, I have Joe Carroll in there from when his phone number was live. It's not live now because obviously Joe Carroll's dead. But I have John Constantine in there, and there's an extra number. We called it live on the show, and you can get like John Constantine's voicemail. I mean, that's what I have in my phone. So there's you. You've got John Barrowman in your phone. I have fake fictional characters from business cards.
Yeah.
So Muses, we can all see where the level of that sits with everything, right? Sherry is, and she's like, oh, but I don't know if people know me. Yeah, she knows John Barrowman. She's pretty up there on the fame scale. I'm not gonna lie. So jealous right now. All right, I'm gonna get into another fan question. This one is from Ashley Brolinsky. She says, if you could spend a week in any time period, when and where would it be?
That is tough because I'm really attached to things like indoor plumbing.
Yeah, see, I
love to think that I'd go back in history, but I feel like the smell alone might be interesting.
Yes,
gosh,
Venice still smells interesting now.
You know what? I think I would actually want to go forward. I think I would like to peek at the future far enough that like I know I won't be around.
He doesn't
see what the world is going to turn into.
It has to be past. Oh, do you really want to see what the world's going to turn into though?
I do, because I want to know how hard I need to work to like better myself now. Like if it's all going to be pot in 20 years, I'm not going to work that hard right now to try and make the world a better place. I mean, I've just watched enough episodes of Doctor Who that I'm like pretty much at this point they're all playing out, and I don't think any of them are ending well. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd want to see what I'm gonna miss. I think with history, there was a reason I was born in the time I was born. I would not have made it to Oregon. I would not have survived the Spanish. I don't think anyone would survive the Oregon Trail. I mean, we're dating ourselves right now because anyone who is anyone used to play that game, and it's like kids today would not survive it. We couldn't survive it. You know, you pack up all the antibiotics in the world and whatever, you still don't make it past the third bar. I never made it across one river. I died fording the river every time. It doesn't matter. Oh, I made it past one river. I made it past the first river. That was the furthest I ever got. And I was so proud of myself. And that was it. I never survived it. I was like, ugh. Yeah, no. I would definitely be indoor. Yeah. Hard pass. I'm out. No. I live on a farm now, and I tell my husband my entire goal in life is to get as close to homesteading as possible without losing my dishwasher and indoor plumbing. Like that's my and your Wi-Fi. And your Wi-Fi. Yes, I feel like Wi-Fi is the Wi-Fi. So yeah, tell us a little bit about, because you post pictures. For those of you that don't follow Sherry's pages, you should follow Sherry's pages. But yeah, you're not going to believe this. Come on, tell us what you recently acquired. Your little family there. Oh, so I have 2 alpacas, which are actual alpacas. We're not talking like toys. We're talking actual. She has alpacas. Yes, I have 2 alpacas. Their names are Todd and Carl, which are both kind of inside jokes, but they're my life. I love these alpacas more than I ever thought that I would. had gone to an alpaca farm and done like one of those walk tours and stuff. And within 3 days, I had alpacas in my house.
What did you do? Just take one home? Like, God, probably put me in the car.
No. We were like, hey, we want a couple of these. And he's like, well, I've got these two. They're kind of a-holes. And I was like, mine, sold. So I bought them.
So you've got the asshole alpacas. That figures.
Yeah, which is hilarious because they're not at all. They're so sweet and wonderful. They're just not as sweet, I guess, as his other alpacas. Like, but they're fabulous. So maybe for like
a situation where he's got people coming to visit and everything, not appropriate, but in your household with your lot, perfectly fine.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah. So and they're good with people. They're just a little skittish, and I think so. He does like the tours and the walks and stuff. So they didn't like that as much. They're one family.
I can appreciate that. Yeah. And now they have their forever home, and so everything is good.
They do. But then I just got the new chickens too. So now I have 9 chickens in my bedroom.
Did you say your
they're
bedroom?
waiting to be big enough to go outside.
You have them in your bedroom? Are they
they're
noisy?
yeah. So we're building a house, and my master suite is not finished yet.
Oh, okay.
So they're in there with.
I thought you meant you had them like in your bedroom with you, and I was like, oh my God, that would be a nightmare. How are you getting any sleep with these 9
not
chickens?
Sleeping. Yeah, no. We're not that attached to the chickens, but I do love the chickens.
That's good to know. Good to know. Right, we have more questions. I love this one. This is another one from Ashley. You are a character in a comic book. Are you the hero, the villain, or the sidekick?
I feel like by default, I'm always the villain. I'm too practical to be a hero. A hero is someone that's like, yeah, I'm totally gonna walk this ring for 6 months to Mordor. And I'm like, dude's got eagles. Like, we'll just beat him up and take them. Like, I'm totally down with a little bit of larceny when the situation calls for it. And you can't be a hero like that. You can't be a hero like that.
Do you see yourself like as an anti-hero, like in the Deadpool van of things, or are you flat out villain? Because I'll be honest, if I was in the comic book, I'd totally be the villain. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. Everyone's just like, you're the villain. I mean,
the villain has such a much better set of rules that they have to play for. Right. I saw a meme that went around that was like, the hero would sacrifice you to save the world, but the villain would sacrifice the world to save you.
Yes.
And that's the kind of devoted I am. Like,
I
will burn the world down for someone that I care about. So by default.
And they get better clothes too. I mean, if you ever look at those superhero outfits.
Right?
No, I mean, other than Batman, I guess, who wears a lot of black. For the most part, they're all like stupid tights and bright colors, and it's just like, no. Give me
and heroes have those lines that they can't cross. And one of my favorite things to do is cross lines. When someone's like, you can't do that, I'm like, oh, watch me. Like, that's so.
Just sit back and watch. Yep, big fan of that. So we can be villains together. We'd totally be a super villain. I can see it as like.
We could be a supervillain duo. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch out, world. That would be scary stuff.
Anti-Avengers. We could, burn it all down.
Well, I mean, Loki did he's doing his TV show now. He's sort of done his.
I know.
But they're doing that. They're cheating though. They're doing like alternate world stuff, I believe. Not that I'm a big Marvel person. I'm more of a DC girl. And I was moaning on Sunday because I said, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier have just come out, and I know you watch a lot of Marvel, so you're going to be with me on this.
Yes,
guys, I'm not just randomly throwing stuff at Sherry. It's okay, because they're probably thinking she's an author, and you're like all this TV stuff in. It's like, no, it's not how it works.
I'm into it.
My rules. So Winter and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier just aired episode 1.
Yes,
and I'm so mad because I'm watching it. I didn't watch any of the Avengers last movies because I didn't want to see any of that, but I'm watching this. And it's like movie quality. I'm like, guys, DC just needs to sell to Marvel at this point, because you've got DC throwing up these rubbish CW shows. I mean, other than Legends of Tomorrow that I watch because I love it and it's crazy. They're doing
I love that
CW against like the Marvel movie universe as a TV show. They don't even play fair anymore. I'm like, how am I supposed to defend DC?
It's hard because I was raised DC. I was always Marvel curious, but DC is where my heart lies. And
sorry, my phone is just going nuts.
I love the DC animated universe. Love it. Love the DC animation stuff. They're doing such fun stuff with the DC animation. And even some of their stuff that they did like on the DC app, like I really liked I really liked the Teen Titans, the Titans show that they did on the DC app. And I really sort of liked those things. And to see what they're, I mean, just destroying some of my favorite characters, it just makes my heart hurt. 100%. I was so glad to see the Snyder Cut.
I haven't seen that yet. We are going to watch that because my house is, I live in a Marvel house for the most part. Like my house is a Marvel house, except me. There's the Marvel, there's every one of them, there's me. And they put up with a lot of stuff with me. I mean, like Greg sits through Legends of Tomorrow, but that's the only one I'm actively watching. I used to watch them all. That's the only one I'm actively watching, but trying to get them to watch. I mean, Em did watch Justice League and she's a big Wonder Woman, so I'm winning because I've got Wonder Woman, they've got Wonder Woman, and Em's a big Wonder Woman fan, so that's like my in.
Right.
So she's agreed to watch the Snyder Cut with me because Wonder Woman, so I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But for the most part, it's really hard because they're all such Marvel people. I mean, literally on the show, Greg described Legends of Tomorrow. We actually have a whole section now that is dedicated to bad TV descriptions because we were watching a movie premiere trailer. We're talking movie trailers.
Right.
This will amuse you because you know what the show is now, Legends of Tomorrow. And one of the guys that pops up, it's Dominic from Prison Break, who's obviously in. He popped on the screen for like half a second. I didn't even see who it was. And Greg was like, oh, it's the guy from your show with the time things and the book and the really important book and the lesbians. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. The lesbian captains and the book and the important book, and he loves the book and it's a secret. I'm like,
and you're like, lesbian captains, you're gonna have to be more specific.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm serious. And Emily's on the phone. She's like, oh, it's Legends of Tomorrow. I'm like, how did you get that? She said, oh, I googled Dominic. I saw who it was, and I was like, okay. And Greg's looking at me like, that is one of your favorite shows. I'm like, and the bit you took from it was book and lesbian captains. I mean, you couldn't say Constantine, who is the main Constantine, time travel, Rory, anything, spaceship. No, book. So yeah, so there you go. So that's what's going on with that. And before we had this chat, Sherry actually said to me, she's like, we're going to call this one the Snyder Cut because we're not limiting anything. We're going to chat until we stop chatting. So you're welcome, Muses, because that was your fault. You said you want it all. So you will get it all. All right, talking to Muses, another question.
Okay.
Do you use music to inspire you while writing? Does it ever help you get into the right headspace to understand your characters?
Yes, I use music a lot when I'm writing. You can usually sort of tell if I'm having a good writing day or a bad writing day by what I'm listening to genre wise. If I'm having if I am just stuck in the mire and having all kinds of writer's block, it's usually Christmas music playing. And the reason, it sounds terrible, but the reason why is because it's familiar enough, but also I can kind of tune it out like white noise. So it's not pulling my attention away, like having something else on. I don't like writing in quiet. But when I'm having a really good day writing, it's usually sort of something that's inspiring the tone of what I'm writing at the time. So I have lots of Spotify playlists for my new stuff. And my wonderful teenage daughter is always bringing me new music and like, you should totally listen to this for the, this scene or whatever. And
so what's your Spotify? Are your Spotify list public?
Yes.
Okay. What's your name on Spotify? Because Muses are very into, we do a Spotify list every week. So Muses are very into Spotify. You don't know.
Yeah, it should be, I think it's SD Ficklin on Spotify.
Ashley wants to know, is there a certain time of day you work best or that you tend to feel particularly inspired, or do you sort of go with the flow?
I try to keep regular business hours because I write as my day job. I get up in the morning, I take care of the farm chores, I take the kids to school, and then I go into my writer's hovel and I try to set aside specific writing hours. And then I have certain times where I'll, when I break for lunch, I return emails or I check social media or whatever. And that stays pretty much the same throughout the whole drafting process. And then when we get into stuff like marketing side where we're at now, it really changes that up a lot because I'll be, so like I'm still drafting on one book, but I'm marketing on another book and doing videos for, something else. And so I have to be able to sort of juggle so there's a bit of flexibility to it, but I try to be available to my family during, from like 5 p.m. to like 9 a.m. Like is my non-writing time. I enjoy writing more at night, but I just don't get to do it very often. So,
well,
balance.
Yeah. Do you have a notebook? You find you have ideas that pop up and you're like, crap, I need to write that down before I forget it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have many incomprehensible voice notes on my phone where like something will occur to me and I'll be like, how much pressure does it take to sever a vocal cord? And that's just the note on my phone with no context. Like, I'm like, why was I what? So.
See, I totally get that. We were Googling the other night whether a pathologist in rural France would have a go-to cyanide poisoning kit in their morgue. Because I felt that they wouldn't. I was absolutely, I'm like, you're in rural France. I don't believe for 1 second that you have enough cyanide poisoning cases, that you have a gas mask and antidote. Number one, I didn't even know if there was actually an antidote to cyanide poisoning. But I don't believe for 1 second that you would have that kit on hand. So that is a Google competition. Greg and I are both trying to, because I'm trying to prove that I'm right. Greg's trying to prove that I'm wrong. And neither of us will just accept it's a TV show and they can do whatever the hell they want to, and it doesn't make any difference. But that's what it's like living in our house. And so totally get the weird voicemail message thing.
How did we settle arguments before Google? I don't even remember.
I have no idea. And I'm
going to go to the bookshelf and get the encyclopedia from 3 years ago. And like, I don't know.
See, I have a whole set of Encyclopedia Britannica upstairs that were my father's. And when they moved over, when everything was being shipped over here, my mum wanted to throw them out. I'm like, no, you can't throw them out. I need to keep those. And mum's like, why? My dad's like, I get it. We'll bring them. So I have like, it has a special case and everything. But it's like vintage. Nice. It's like not that anyone's ever going to need them ever, because you just go to Google now. But how did anyone ever work out who was in a TV show before? That's what I want to know, before IMDb. How often?
No, it just drove you crazy and then you died. Like, that was it.
Yes, it drove you crazy and then you died. That is exactly what happened. But Greg's really good at faces and facial recognition. And I have like face blindness, I swear. Unless there's, put somebody in a different character and unless they look exactly the same, age them and you just had it. It's like, no, they just live as the character in my brain. And he will argue every time. He's like, why do you argue with me? Because twice I've been right. Twice in the 20 years we've been married, I was right. And this might be one of those times.
My friend Sarah and I do slap bets all the time about just the most random things, like who sang this song or what year did this happen. And I have won once. I have lost many times, but I have won once.
But you cling on to that one that you won.
Of having permission to slap my best friend was just like fabulous.
We've bet loads of students. It's like we've bet, and funny enough, a couple of times that I've won have been bet. I think I only bet when I'm really certain. I said to her, I'm betting, so you should probably know that I'm pretty certain, but I'm often wrong. I don't see. I can't even remember Em's friends. I could only point out 2 of Emily's friends ever. And these are friends that have been to the house. If they're not at the house and I don't have a context for them, if we were to bump into them, I have no idea who they are. None whatsoever. It's like,
but I'd be able to spot John Barrowman across a crowded airport.
Same. John Barrowman, I feel like he's one of those people that just looks like John Barrowman. He doesn't, some people, no matter what role they're playing, they seem to embody a whole different person. And sometimes it's really hard to see, is that them? They look really, really different. Yeah. I mean, Tom Ellis, for example, like Tom Ellis in his pre-Lucifer days. I mean, Tom Ellis in Merlin.
He was in Merlin? He was in Merlin.
He was in Merlin. Greg did not believe me the other night. I'm trying to pull this thing up. And he had quite a big character arc in there as well, because
I remember now that you say it, I remember. It took me a minute. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
He was in one episode of Once Upon a Time as well, just one, and then he got replaced. I think he was the Mad Hatter in one episode.
No, he was the original. Was it the original Robin?
Yes, he was the original Robin. Yeah, and then he wasn't in it, and they had a new person.
And then he got replaced. Yeah.
And
they lost.
And then obviously he was in Miranda. Mm-hmm. And so much so that in England, when he goes to conventions in England, they actually have Miranda up as the big thing. Lucifer is like the little subplot thing down at the bottom. So
fun story about the guy that plays Robin in Merlin, or not Merlin, but in Once Upon a Time. So I met him I met him at Denver Comic-Con a couple years ago. So funny story. I was going into, like, I was there for setup day, like really early the day before. And I was going in and I had this huge wagon. I am the reason you are no longer allowed to bring wagons into Denver Comic-Con for setup. And I deeply apologize because it's very inconvenient now.
You know, that so really doesn't surprise me in the least. If anyone was going to...
been a lot of rules made because of me over the years. But in this instance, I was bringing my wagon in and I realized I was going the wrong way through a door, and I went to turn around and I tripped over my wagon and I fell backwards over the wagon and I cracked my head on the concrete floor and I got a concussion.
Oh my God, Sherry.
So they're checking me out. At this point now, we're like an hour to the doors open. And they're like, you've got a concussion and you need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, I can't, I've got a book signing in like 30 minutes. I've got to get to my table, drop off my stuff and get down there. And they're like, okay, well, if you're not going to go to the hospital, we're going to give you, and they gave me this lanyard, this beautiful gold lanyard. They're like, this is a lanyard to the celebrity green room. So if you feel dizzy and need to sit down, or if you need to go get a soda or something, you can just go to the green room and it's all in there. And I was like, okay, sweet. So I took it, not realizing it. I go in there to get some water about halfway through the show. He's in there. The guy that plays Robin Hood is in there. And the girl that played the Wicked Witch from Wicked is in there. And they're kind of chatting and he's like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I fell and I hit my head. So they gave me this so I could come in and get some water. And he's like, did they get it on video? Because if it's on video, it's forever. And they were kind of laughing and we were talking about it and they were so nice. And then he like gave me this hug and it was like, just, he's like one of those genuine, like good huggers. Like sometimes you hug a celebrity and they're like, oh yay. And it's like, pat, pat. He was like, bear hug. And I was like, oh, I love this guy. He's fabulous.
See, I'm a do not touch me under, I don't care if you're famous, don't hug me type people. And
I am a hugger.
No, I'm not a hugger. It's so bad that one of Greg's friends came over a few years back and they were, he plays drums and his friend came over and they were jamming. He had the electric guitar, they were down here. And the guy at the time, I don't know if it's a girlfriend or just a friend, but he brought this girl over with him and I was kind of irritated because I was like, okay, I'm obviously going to expect it to be the social person. But then it turned out she liked books. So it was all good. So we're chatting about books and I'm introducing her to all the authors and everything. And I'm showing her all the stuff. And this is only a few years ago. So I have like, I've got signed books from you and signed books from you. And I'm showing all my signed books off because that's what you do when you find someone new and you're like, look, I have signed books. Right. So great evening, we're chatting and laughing and everything, and it gets to the end of the evening and they're about to leave and she's like, it was so nice to meet you, and she stepped for a hug and I physically stepped back. I was like, oh no. Greg's friend was on the floor laughing so hard. He will not let Greg forget that to this day. It's just like, he's like, I cannot believe somebody in real life actually is like you, because that's me. I don't know how to do fake. So I was just like, oh no, you're nice. No, don't hug me.
I love hugs. I love hugging people. I'll hug people for way too long. Like I'll make it weird. I try to always ask permission the first time. Like if I don't know someone, I'll be like, are you a hugger? Are you not a hugger? But I'm a hugger. I'm like, if you ever see me out, just like maybe give me a warning, but come on in. Like it's fine.
See, my mom is like that. My mom is very much a hugger. And when I tell people I'm not a hugger, she almost feels like she has to overcompensate for me. She's like, oh, I'll give you a hug. So I'm like,
she's like, I'll hug you twice. It's fine. Come on in.
Yeah. One of the caseworkers we were working with actually posted, it was a status from a few years back, that we were working with a caseworker and they came in and they're like, she's like, well, I'd give you a hug, but I fear that you would get me with a taser. And I was like, well, that's valid. And then I was like, well, yeah, but I don't have a taser.
I have no sense of self-preservation, so hugging doesn't bother me.
And my mum was like, I'll give you a hug. And then my dad was like, well, you probably shouldn't let Mel touch anything electrical anyway, because, that's just a bad plan. But so that's why I'm not a hugger. And that's why I always think if I ever go to these convention things, it'd be really weird because I don't want to hug and touch people at all. Like even the famous people. Yeah. I don't care how famous you are. I don't want to hug you. I'm just like,
well, it's hard if you go in costume because people sort of assume that they can just like touch you or take pictures with you. I always try to ask.
I'm fine. The pictures I'm fine with. I don't have any. When I went to, Rochester Con was a very, very small little con, but I was Riversong and I had loads of people that wanted to. I have no problem with taking pictures. Just don't hug me. I don't want to be hugged.
Yeah. I always try and ask. I always try and get permission first. I think it's just a body autonomy, nice thing to do for people. Yeah. And it's something that you don't get a lot of, especially at cons. People just kind of help themselves to you if you're in costume. So I try to be very cognizant of that.
I think that if you go in costume, you're kind of asking for a certain level of attention. That's my theory on it. It's like, I know I'm putting myself in that position. Right. And I mean, when I've done costumes and gone to the mall and things just for random whatevers for Greg, just got to the point where she's like, I'm just not going out with you anymore. She's like, I just no. But we did the Misha Collins Gish. And one of the things was I dressed up as Alice in Wonderland and went to the mall and just randomly didn't explain to anybody, just like taking pictures of people. And I was like, I feel at that point I've kind of opened them up to come to me, and that's okay. But you know,
right.
But Emma's just like, I'm just not going to be seen with you genuinely. I mean,
the only I had a weird one once. I'm really good about people coming up to me, and like I said, I never expect to get recognized ever. And I was at this hotel after a writers convention one time, and I had gone in to use the bathroom. And as I was sitting in the stall, I hear this lady outside the bathroom. She's like, "Are you the author of that Stolen Empire book?"
Oh no.
And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, so I come out of the bathroom and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome." And I'm like, "Okay, let me wash my hands."
Oh no.
Like, she came straight at me right out of the bathroom. I was so weirded out. Like, she was so sweet, but she was so excited to see me, and it was very overwhelming in that setting.
No, that is insane. That is insane. Okay, I'm gonna have a look to see if I don't want to miss any of my Muses questions.
Okay. Yeah, don't miss any of the Muses questions.
May Rose says, what is your biggest pet peeve other than people approaching you in the bathroom?
Other than people attacking me in bathrooms. I think as a rule in life or like in writing, because there's differences.
No idea. Just says, what's your biggest pet peeve? There's no context, so it's whatever you want to do with it.
Okay. So I think just generally every day, I think probably my biggest pet peeve is just being inconsiderate of other people. Like, whether that's I'm not gonna wear a mask, I'm gonna yell at this employee trying to enforce the mask rule instead because I'm proving a point to nobody. Or even, you know, I'm going to stand in line and talk to my friend and keep everybody behind me from moving up because I'm not paying attention. Like, just being inconsiderate in little ways really bothers me, because it's like, you're the center of the world and no one else exists. You know, try and be courteous of the people around you. I think that's my biggest probably pet peeve, and it's a lot of the time.
I totally get that. I feel that everybody should have to work in some kind of customer service environment for at least a year of their lives, because if you haven't, you don't get it. And
you people, oh yeah, it's intense. And then on the writing side, I think I have as an author, I think my worst pet peeve is people get very wrapped up in sort of the industry side of writing and what the rules of writing are. I really have never subscribed to that. When I very first started writing, they told me, like, you only can write in one genre, or you're going to confuse your readers, and sort of all these things. And I really hate being told what to do with my writing. Like, it just drives me insane. So the second someone's like, you can't do that, I'm like, watch me.
So did that push you to, because you do cross so many genres and you do it very well, but you have your finger in a lot of pies, is that one of the things that maybe pushed you to do it maybe more than you might have done at the beginning? Maybe you might have been writing like your paranormal fiction or your historical fiction, and you know, because I mean, you've got fingers that you've got some sci-fi out there, you've got some urban fantasy out there, you've got the historical out there, you've got the young adult out there, you've got the contemporary young adult out there. I mean, now you've got historical fantasy out there, and you've got some romance, straight up contemporary romance. I believe you write under a different name. Did I get that right?
No, it's under my name. It's on my name.
Okay. Why do I think that was under a different name?
I don't know. And I've got some stuff under my name. So
okay, but yeah, you have. I mean, when you say you are crossing a lot of it, it's not even when people say, "Oh, I'm doing this," but it's like paranormal fantasy and, you know, urban fantasy and that. Like, you're across the board.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe pushed you to do that a little more, that you were just like, you know what, they said I couldn't, so now I'm gonna?
Yeah, I think there's always a level of challenge. Like, I will take a rule as a challenge 9 times out of 10. So if they say, you know, you can't write, my personal favorite recent one that I get is you can't write unlikable female characters. I get a lot of feedback like, oh, this character's not likable enough. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to play. Now we're going to go and make a
you
main
didn't
character
like her
female.
before, just you wait till
Exactly terrible to begin with. Yeah, I anytime someone tells me I can't do something, it just makes me want to do it more. So whether that's with my genres or what I can't do with my characters. Another one I got was word count. Like, oh, you can't have a book over 100,000 words and be in YA. Wow. And I'm like, watch me. Like, I don't know. I think it's just industry standards. Like, and then they really push it, especially on new authors. And I think it's such crap. I think
understand.
If you're writing for yourself and you're writing what you want to write, then write it. If you're enjoying it, then that's what matters.
Why do they not want your female character? Why do your female characters have to be likable? I'm really seriously genuinely confused by that, because some of my favorite characters are, I don't, they're not always the villains, but they're definitely not particularly, you know, I like the sarcasm. I do like very strong women characters, but I like evil women characters. I actually did a vlog before, because it's like, why do all mean women characters have to have a backstory that usually involves some kind of abuse? Why can they not just be a bitch?
Right.
That's my big thing.
That's completely valid. Yeah.
It's like, why is it? And as soon as you get one of these especially in television is the worst. You get these strong women characters. How to Get Away with Murder is a perfect example. That first season of Annalise Keating, and she's fabulous. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I love her. And then it just all like deteriorated after that. They had all these awful backstories, all these tropes and whatever. So why could she not be this super powerful strong woman that was just driven to do what she wants to do? And
it's I don't understand it. And I think there are so many personality traits that are considered unattractive for a woman particularly, and you don't see that kind of stigma with male characters. Like, you've got great characters, even in YA and MG, like Artemis Fowl, you've got these great characters that are very morally ambiguous or have terrible tendencies. But when you do that same thing with a female character, they're like, oh, I can't connect with this character. This character is too mean or too bossy or too stupid. And I feel like, when did those things become like a cardinal sin and not just part of who people are really? You know, maybe we don't want to admit that, oh yeah, I can be bratty sometimes, but that's kind of part of your personality. And I think that when you make a good character, they have those elements that aren't always shiny and pretty and acceptable.
Otherwise they're not real. I would argue the other way. It's like, how are you supposed to connect to these flawless, perfect characters? Because none of us are like that. There's not one person you can put in front of me that is flawless, perfect, and
no, not at all.
It just isn't. So kudos to you. Well, you keep doing that, because I'm 100% all about that. And I mean, I agree with you. I feel like it's a really big issue, and we need more people like you going out there and they're going to say, well, I'm just going to write what I want.
Yeah.
And you can just deal.
Yeah.
People don't like it.
I feel like it really comes down to, like, I have reached an age where I have lost my ability to care what other people think. Like, I always release a book and I want it to do well and I want it to be a success. But if I'm happy with it and if I enjoy it, that's all I care about. So if people, like, if it's critically panned or if people are like, oh, this character's too bratty or whatever, I don't care. I have stopped caring. I've stopped trying to.
I think that's awesome. I think you get to that point, and I do think it does come with age and it does come with maturity. You get to the point that, you know what, I just don't care anymore. And this is,
you're like, I'm just gonna write what I want to write and how I want to write it. And if you don't like it, good for you. Like, it's fine.
And I think the fact that you are such a best-selling author and you have a lot of characters like that speaks to the fact that most of us can very much relate to the not perfect characters. 100%.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about Stolen Empire books was we have this character who started off very innocent and naive in Catherine, and at every possible juncture she makes terrible decisions, and you want her to, like, when you're really invested in a character that is flawed and has these goals and these issues, they can be making bad choices and you're still like, yeah, do that. And that's really fun when you can bring an audience, and then you get to the end of the book and you sort of realize that this character was, in a way, the villain all along. and this was the origin story of a villain, and people didn't even realize it going through, which is really fabulous.
Maybe that's why I like them so much, because I'm generally a fan of the villain. That's how I roll.
Me too.
So, I'm making sure. I think we've pretty much got through most of the questions. Oh, Dana Stevenson would like to know, do you have to have the temperature a certain degree when you're writing? They're very into specifics with your writing specifics. Yeah.
No, I just not cold. I don't function well under 70 degrees. Which is hilarious because I live in Colorado and it's cold here. Like I don't function in the cold at all. I don't at all.
So
Winter's this.
One more. I got one more question from Susan. It says, have there been any books or characters that you've read and thought, damn, I wish I came up with that?
That's so hard. It's hard to read a book as an author and not sort of have a moment of, oh, I would have done that differently, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons that when I do a project, my beta readers are never other authors, because we always have it in our minds what we would have done or how we would have told this story.
Right.
So that's a tough one for me. I think there are tropes that I can see that I'm like, ooh, I wish I could do that, or wish I could do that well. And even some storylines that I read and I'm just like, oh, that would have been fun to do, and do it my way. But very rarely is it like a character. The characters are too personal to you for that, I think.
Makes sense. I could never be a writer. I'm definitely a reader, and I love being a reader, and I'm one of those really picky readers that picks on really obscure things. Same as when I'm watching TV show, I'll pick the weirdest, most random fact to hyper focus on. But I know that I would never, because people are like, well, why don't you write a book? Because I don't have a story to tell. Yeah. I don't have it in me. That's just not who I am. I read everybody else's stories.
Right. And you mentioned Lucifer earlier. I love, especially early on in the seasons, the dynamic of the devil and his therapist.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And I would have told that story very differently, but that would have been a fun playground to play in. But never am I like, oh, I wish I'd written that character, or I wish I'd, had a character more like this. It's not.
Well,
it's
Neil Gaiman is very much
thought to explore something like this.
Neil Gaiman is very much, go play with my characters. He's a big fan of that, especially on Twitter and whatever. It's like he's a big fan of taking characters and twist it up and do what you want. But then you did say you started out with sort of fan fiction, so I'm not too surprised that it's sort of like, oh yeah, I pay attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to say huge thank you to Sherry for stopping by and answering all the music questions today. It's been fabulous having you here. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And look, crowns. You can't go wrong with that. Muses, I highly recommend that you go over to Amazon and check out Sherry's books. There are a bunch of free books you can grab right now. Free. That's right. You heard me. I'm going to put the link for them in the description to the video. But the first book in the Queen series, in the Chasing series, in the Extracted series. Is it called the Extracted series?
It's the Lost Imperials.
Lost Imperial series, but the book is called Extracted. Yes. And the first book in the Hacker series. They are all free right now. So there's a whole bunch of free reads in a whole bunch of different genres. So you'll be able to get that. And the book that we did the cover reveal for is only 99 cents if you pre-order it right now. So I'm going to put the link to that one up there as well. And of course, you know what to do. Huge thank you for stopping by and watching this video. Make sure you stay tuned afterwards if you want to see the outtakes and things that didn't make the final cut. We said before this was going to be the Snyder Cut. You asked for it, guys. You got it. This is probably the longest video I'm going to have up on YouTube. Please make sure you do all those fun YouTube things, like, comment, and subscribe, especially comment. If you had a question for Sherry that didn't get answered, I'm sure she will pop back and answer it for you. And if not, then I will poke her on Facebook and tell her to come answer it. Make sure you click that little notification bell so you don't miss next time I am on here with who knows whatever videos. They're weird and random. Apart from Mail Call Mondays and Forgotten Feature Fridays. Those are pretty standard. Make sure you join me on Facebook every Sunday at noon Eastern Time with my husband Greg, who is in the blooper reel because he couldn't stay off the Zoom chat. And go to Melanie'sMusic.com for everything. Giveaways, reviews, music articles, guest features, you name it. We've got it. If it's not up there yet, it will be soon because new features are being added every day. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Bye. I usually have a note. I have questions and. I've already had questions and crowns because Jodie got there first. How about questions and corsets or questions and cons?
Perfect.
You like corsets?
Questions and corsets. I like it. Yeah.
Okay, so
I always think of that I'm lesser known than I am. So I always just assume that people don't know who I am. It's just safer that way. So yeah, I've been writing now since like the dark ages of the year 2000. This is...
I can hear Greg. That's going to be really loud on the video. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay.
You can come in. Come in and say hi.
What's up?
We're going to put that in the other. Sherry, Greg, I did put a store. I didn't know if you were going to be able to sit and chat for a few minutes.
Nice boobs.
Thanks.
You can edit that out.
I will edit that and put it in the outtakes.
Ooh, nice boobs.
Thank you.
Sherry, Greg, Sherry.
It's hard to get these up here.
Do you want me to move over a little bit? Are you going to sit with us for a few minutes?
I'll just.
Well, you're like in the shot, so that's going to be really. Welcome to. You remember you said how you liked how chaotic the lives in that were?
Yes.
Welcome to my life.
Perfect.
Right, are you going to hang out here for a few
For a
minutes?
sec.
Okay. So.
Should I cover that up?
Okay. Do you want to advertise your work?
No.
Just move your.
They don't pay me enough to advertise
Move
that.
your mask over it.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, so I'm going to read.
Okay.
Like it never existed.
I will re-intro. So we are here with Sherry Ficklin, and Greg just popped in to join us.
Why do you have to re-intro? You don't have to do that.
Well, because I'm going to cut all of that bit out, or you just came in and made all the boob cut and put it at the end. So it won't make any sense continuity-wise.
You can be here, but you can't be here.
No,
you can't breathe.
Breathing is very optional right now. I've got it all unlaced at the back.
She's got hers backwards.
No, she doesn't.
The shirt shouldn't be on. Take the shirt off. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Bye. Okay, that can all just go at the end.
Hold on, I've got a kitty.
Oh, you've got a cat. Hi, kitty. We just edit all of that out.
This is my crackhead cat.
Oh, my husband is just. People don't realize, but literally what they see on live is every day in my house, just minus most of the costumes. So I had to move Bob. I had Bob on the chair next to me in case I wanted to show him later. And we will talk about Bob later. Okay, so let's try that again. I will edit that. That'll make great blue outtakes. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. You said you tend to feel that you go as if you're not so well known, and then...
Yeah, okay. So I was at a convention in Denver, and I was supposed to be speaking on a writing romance for teens panel. And I don't know what happened, but the day of the convention, they switched me into serial sci-fi, and it was a panel with Jim Butcher. I was in an absolute panic. I had no idea what to say. I was not going to miss this panel and be one of those panelists that didn't show up for their panels. I was nervous about it.
Greg stole him.
Oh yeah, Bob.
Greg stole Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
Did someone
Greg
stole
Bob?
He stole Bob.
He stole him. He's not here. Like, I was gonna hold Bob up because I had Bob right
Greg.
Here. Damn it, Greg. He stole Bob. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So you got with Jim Butcher. Did you fangirl like insane?
So I went to him right before the panel, and I'm in my skinny day corset, not my fat day corset, but I was in my other corset. And I get down there and I'm like, I explained to him what happened. And he's like, well, have you ever read or written any sci-fi? And I was like, sort of, but I have this one steampunk. We only had the one extracted book out at the time. He's like, just come on in, you'll be fine. And so I sit at this panel with Jim Butcher and just a ton of other huge sci-fi authors. The room is 99% dudes to start. So that's always a little off-putting. Yeah. So I get in there and we're doing the panel and I'm trying not to sound like an absolute idiot. I get out of the panel and he puts a hand on my shoulder and he's like, nice try.
Oh, bless.
He was so sweet about it. But I went into this absolute panic and I was rushing to get out of there and I was so embarrassed. And I had a massive panic attack down in the bowels of the Denver Comic Con Center. And I had to have my friend cut me out of my corset because I couldn't breathe and I was having a panic attack and I was crying. I was a mess. I was a hot mess.
Now, for those of you who don't know, there are
so
corsets
embarrassing.
you can get that, like my one has a zip down the front and it laces in the back.
Yeah, this one does too. So it wasn't
most
this one.
Corsets
yeah.
do not have that. They are solid and then they're laces in the back and they
Yes.
take time to get out of.
Yes.
Oh
yeah. The laces are no joke. And there was no time. Like I was on the verge of a full meltdown. So like he grabbed his pocket knife and just shunk right up the back.
Good for him.
I bursted out of that thing like Ursula out of her human suit. Like
that is something that only somebody who wears corsets can say, yep, I know exactly.
Yeah,
I know exactly
how
what
that
you
feels.
mean. So what TV shows are you watching right now? Do you have any new favorites?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I just saw the first episode. It was good. I liked it better than the first episode of WandaVision, but WandaVision took me a couple to get into. So, and I think it was just because it was such a weird format early on. You didn't really know quite what's going on. So
I've heard a lot of good things about that, but I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was really good. It took a while to get, for me, it took a while to kind of get my attention, but I knew it would eventually get there. So it was really good. It's so hard because a lot of my TV shows that I normally watch are kind of on hiatus right now. I love, there's one right now that's on, I want to say CBS, called Prodigal Son. With
it's on Fox.
It's on Fox, yes.
It's on Fox. Yeah.
Oh, that
Michael
show
Sheen
is fantastic. Love Michael Sheen anyway.
Yeah, I love Michael Sheen.
And the guy that plays Malcolm Bright is fantastic. I love the dynamic of that. You know, the father's a serial killer and the son is the detective, and it's so much fun to play with. Again, you get these great characters who you kind of want to love and kind of want to hate and make stupid bad choices. And
I love Michael Sheen. I'm a huge Michael Sheen fan.
Michael Sheen is fabulous.
I
love watching the little shorts he does with David Tennant on the BBC Player.
Yes, staged. Hulu just picked up, actually staged season 2 just uploaded onto Hulu, although I already watched it by BBC. Yeah. So we told all the Muses to go and watch that. And we're actually going to be having a Good Omens giveaway. We have the Funko Pops that we're going to be giving away. So sneak peek for the Muses, because I haven't shown them yet on the live, because the ones for the giveaway arrived before my own personal ones. So if my own personal ones don't arrive, they're not going to make it to the giveaway. Cool. There you go. So if you want to find Sherry's Spotify list, you can go and check those out there. Music's a big thing with the Muses. We do the Spotify list.
Yeah.
But I totally understand what you're saying with the Christmas music being white noise, because I've never understood how anyone can write with actual song lyrics playing. And I know loads of writers do. They say, oh, I hear the song lyrics and I'm inspired by the song lyrics, and my husband's coming down the stairs and I can hear him.
So me, I just wanted to say hi before.
No, that's okay. You can say hi before you go.
I heard you getting really excited down here.
Oh, well.
You were like, oh.
I'm going to get a drink real quick while we're taking a break.
Yeah, I have my drink. Yeah.
I have a drink too.
I know. Hydrate. Hydrate before you dihydrate. Hydrate before you dihydrate. Thank you.
Who said that?
Her daughter's there producing.
Hydrate before you dihydrate.
So yeah, we were just talking about your. We're just talking about your excellent description. You're not even on the screen, so
It's okay. I'm here in spirit.
You're here in voice.
Yes.
We were just talking about your excellent description of Legends of Tomorrow.
It was a good description.
Not a good.
What kills it, she always talked about the fact that this miserable, grumpy, manly man was writing a love story.
Yeah, but that's
this novel. And that's why I said the guy, the grumpy guy that was writing the book on the spaceship.
What? It's not how you said it. And you kept saying the book was important. And this is like this much of the legend. That's like this much.
Why are you talking about me? This is about her. This is her.
No. This is chat. I told you. I was like, one of the reasons I was so excited to get Sherry on a call is because this wouldn't be work. We would just be able to chat because she's panel queen. So she does loads of conventions and it's back and forth. So, and you know I love to talk.
Yes, you do.
So,
like to talk.
But yeah, that's like the smallest part of the Legends thing.
Yeah, it's like tiny. And it's not even a thing for so many of the seasons. It's like
kind
of a new thing. And then it was like.
But that was the bit that the last bit I had watched actually that we were up to. So
it's not at all.
Whatever.
But I had it on in the background, and he doesn't really pay.
And I said the captain. I said the captain was the lesbian with the lover there.
Yeah, we did the lesbian lover captains.
How
Sherry
many
said,
TV shows have a lesbian captain?
enough that was not
No,
enough to give it
No,
to me.
0. 1, actually. 1.
I can actually think of 3 just off the top of my head.
Go,
What?
Sherry, go.
What?
Star Trek Discovery,
Oh, we don't have Sherry.
Firefly.
Firefly?
When Matt was gone and Zoe took over.
I
Yeah.
used to like you.
I'm sorry, but
Don't be sorry.
there's a lot of
Sorry, not
lesbian
sorry.
captains
You're not.
on
She's not
TV.
sorry.
Don't be sorry.
She's not sorry.
She's not. She
She's
shouldn't
not
be sorry.
You're right. I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah,
No, I'm still waiting. Like I'm waiting on the new Witcher season. I'm waiting on the new Lucifer season. Still, I'm waiting on. I've got stuff that I'm interested in.
Lucifer's going to
coming down
drop.
the pipeline.
I think Lucifer's
What?
going to drop. I think Lucifer's going to drop very soon.
I think so too, and I think Witcher might drop sooner than we expect. They've been really pushing the promos for the Witcher season 2 pretty hard. So
Lucifer keeps emailing me saying, well, Netflix keeps emailing me saying you need to finish watching Lucifer because I'm on like maybe watch 3,000 and whatever, and it keeps emailing me, and all of a sudden it's like you need to watch the end of Lucifer, finish watching Lucifer, and that's normally a clue that they're going to start with the new episodes, and it didn't announce in the March. But the other shows that they're pushing is for March. So my guess is April 1st. That is what I'm going for. And then people are going to think it's an April Fool's thing. That is my guess.
Yeah.
That is now on record.
that'd be fabulous. I'm so excited for the new season of that. So
other than that, I'm watching The One. I just finished that. That's only 8 episodes. Nice. So that was good because that's all about a dating app.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Do you know we had a fundraiser for Best Buddies?
Why is that open?
Because I didn't shut it.
Were you showing stuff off?
No, I didn't shut it.
Like your boobs?
No.
Boobies.
We had a fundraiser for Best Buddies, and literally every time we had the promo for this Best Buddies, which is
on accident.
Every time we had the promo pop up during live, Greg was doing something completely inappropriate. So there was not one of them where I could cut it and share it because he was either grabbing my boobs or talking about boobs. Or it was just.
I did not grab your boobs.
You did grab my boob. On one of them, you are actively grabbing my boob.
Just like that.
Like that. But we had that on so we never actually I couldn't cut it and share it with anyone. As it happens, I did a whole promo video anyway, so it didn't matter. But I was just like 4 weeks in a row. Every time it popped up, and it had its own music and everything. So they all kind of knew.
Breaking everything.
I'm not breaking everything. That was absolutely fine. They knew it was coming, and then it still didn't work, and so we ended up just not. And I was like, yeah, just go donate at this point.
No, the third time I said I'm not talking about any boobies. No.
Exactly. You literally just said that. I'm not talking about.
The third
boobs.
time we were good. I made it through the third time. Or was it the fourth time?
By saying I'm not going to talk about boobs, which means as the music's playing, which means I still couldn't use it. Okay, you're going to sit here. I'm going to ask Sherry another question while you are here.
Okay.
So, Dana would like to know, and we kind of touched on this a little bit already, if you could choose any year to be alive, what year would you have chosen and why? And you've already said you want to go to the future, but I think Dana's saying you have to pick a year that's already gone.
Oh, I have to pick a year that's already gone. It depends. There were so many years when it was fabulous to be a plump white woman. I think I'm gonna go
white woman.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Renaissance. I think that would have been okay, because even then, if I was like a street urchin, maybe I could like find one of those artist hovels and let dudes sculpt me. I don't know. Like
sculpt me like one of your French girls.
No, the French girls were kind of skinny. So no. No skinny French girls. So this is the part where you get to do a turnaround. Is there anything you want to ask me? I mean, I sort of interject my opinion generally into the whole.
Okay.
All
right. Who is the most fun guest you've had on your show so far?
On my show, like on the live, or on my show, like because I haven't done many author chats. So.
On your live, yeah.
On my live, I have got to go. It'll be a toss-up between Bill and Nash. I love Nash, but Bill is really funny. Bill Draper, he is part of the Rocky Horror Shadowcast that we used to go and see all the time.
Nice.
And he always cracks me up. It's really hard to do anything with him in the room because you never know what he's going to say. And he had this running thing because we used to go to a lot of the Rocky Horror shows, and he always used to tell me to shut up and be pretty because I'd say things that didn't make any sense, and he'd be like, "Shut up and be pretty, just be pretty." And then one of the shows we went to, I'd just done a review of the Rocky Horror Fox production, and I called it the show that will not be mentioned because I hated it so much. And he used that in his intro, and I was like, oh.
Nice.
He's like, yeah, that the one that was on Fox would be the show that should not be mentioned. But yeah, so he's been on the show, and he's so funny, and he's just so genuine, and he's got like such a huge personality. But Nash too, Nash, who is also the guy, he's off acting somewhere and whatever. He's been on a couple of times, and he's a lot of fun too. But I found that a lot of people come to the show and they get it's quite overwhelming. They suddenly realize that, okay, you're talking. It's like when you start talking to the camera, that's when it gets them, when they realize like, oh my God, you're not just talking to us. And I see the look come over there. My mum did the same thing. I remember my mum come down. She was fine and chatty, and my mum says the most inappropriate things all the time. And we're sitting there, and she was like, as she realized it, that okay, you're talking to people that are out there and they're asking questions. So yeah, I'd say they're probably the most fun things. Although I do have Shannon Watts is supposed to, one of my muses, Shannon Watts is supposed to be coming up for a visit at some point, and she said she will do a live. She did like the guest. She did guest Zoom things for the Muser Awards last year. We had the Muser Awards, and like the Emmys and whatever, and she popped up on the screen and did the guest announcing. So yeah, so there's one. No, yeah, we already discussed the.
Did you answer Jennifer Balnell's question?
No, I didn't even write it down.
Yep.
Would you like me to ask it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Did
you see Jennifer Balnell's question?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm new. This is from Jennifer. Jennifer's new to your works, and you need to describe all of your books in a haiku. I'll answer that one for you. No.
In a haiku. Okay.
Oh my God, are you actually going to do it, you crazy woman?
Oh God. Haiku's 575, right?
Yep.
You're going to make me math. That is absolutely unfair.
I did say you could just say no.
Have your producer work on that.
I did say you could just say no. My answer would just be no. Go to my Amazon author page, have a look. You will definitely find something that you like. Jennifer Balnell, you should right now go and look up the Queen series, the Stolen Empire series, because all of those books are there, and you won't have to cry that you have to wait for a new one.
I'm like literally doing math on my fingers right now. I'm like so confused.
Royal corpse filled with death.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nope, I can't do it. I can't get there. My brain is too slow.
Computer hacker solving. I'm going to have things like that because it's like solving crime, solving murders. Jennifer Balnell, go to Amazon, have a look at the books, and then write your own haiku. There you go.
Okay.
Sherry's not going to stop now until she's done. So I'll just edit it.
No, I'm not going to stop.
Question.
It's going to like.
There you go.
So like, I'll rip your heart out.
With glee.
And you'll probably like it. Go read my book. I don't know.
Go read my book now.
Now.
There you go. Perfect.
We got it.
We got it.
Jennifer Balnell, you should feel very, very honored. It's like we had to math.
That was a lot of work.
It was. I wasn't even going to ask that one. I just literally was like, no. I said, I'll answer that one. No, that's insane. But see, that's why I said Sherry is game for anything. And Resident Alien. That's the big one in our house.
Resident Alien is so funny. I love Alan Tudyk.
Me too.
He's so funny. We were getting autographs from him at Comic-Con one time, and John Messenger got.
I love how you just dropped that in
brother.
there. We were getting him, getting autographs from him at Comic-Con.
Yeah, we were getting his autograph, and John Messenger was getting one for his brother, and and I told him to get, because you get to pick the picture like that you want them to sign, and I told him to get the hey picture because it would be so funny. Yes.
Yeah. He's
But
amazing.
He's so nice. So he asked me which picture I wanted. So there was one of him like sitting next to a motorcycle, and I was like, I want this picture, slap, because you are dead sexy. And he's like, yeah, I am.
Totally see that. See, he did a guest spot on The Rookie, and to me that was such a huge missed opportunity. I'm like, they didn't drop one Firefly reference, and I was so mad.
I know.
I was so mad at that episode. And Greg's like, you need to come down. I'm like, no. Oh no! I waited that whole episode for just one. Like, you could give me one line. There were so many opportunities, and I filled the lines in for them. And I filled
chances.
I filled in these random Firefly references for them that they didn't do. But he has said that he might come back to The Rookie at some point, because obviously his character didn't die.
Better do a Firefly reference. I always really got excited when they were doing Castle with Nathan Fillion, and he would drop a Firefly reference, and I would be like, yes!
And nobody gets it. I think the brown coats, we are this very small little group of the population, but we are so, a bit like my music, we are so dedicated, and we are so all about the Firefly references. And all of them. The Castle references that used to be the best bit of the show, when you got a Firefly.
I have exactly one sticker on my car, on my back window, and it says, I am to misbehave. And that is my litmus test. If you know what that is from, we can be friends.
I love that. We have a sticker on our car. We have an adipose sticker on our car. Greg doesn't like, because I don't drive, so Greg has stickers on her. And he has a loading bar right now that says attempting to give a fuck. So I feel that that's probably a pretty good litmus test for anybody who's going to get to know us, because that's pretty,
love it.
Pretty accurate. Anything else? That was a hard one. Kind of hard, really.
Hey, I didn't ask you to do a haiku.
You did not. To be fair, I didn't ask you to do a haiku either. I was going to completely skip that one.
I can't keep looking at you guys' cleavage. You can cut that out.
I won't cut it out. It will literally go.
There's lots of cleavage going on today.
It's my muse.
I was losing my mind.
Shocking amount of cleavage today.
The muses are fine with that. I'll just stick it at the end. They'll be like, "Oh, Greg was there. What are you doing?"
It's the bonus of the corset, though. You don't understand. Like, it's so much. Like, you have to start at the knees and then just pull everything up to the top.
At the knees.
I sent Sherry a message, and I was like, "So we're doing corsets and crowns tomorrow." I'm like, "Are we doing undershirt or boobs up?" And that was my literal comment to her. Undershirt.
Yeah, she told me. She told you boobs up.
Yeah,
but she's doing the undershirt.
She did also tell me.
Yeah,
that
I have a little undershirt.
What are you doing?
I'm just moving over. There.
So there we go. So that's I can ask you. I keep on this. Are you in a point where you be a hero, a villain, or side?
I would totally be a villain.
Yeah, see? Or villain.
Yep.
I'd be a hero villain, though.
What the hell is that? That's not even a thing.
Be like
That's
Charles
the villain
Bronson.
that wins.
I'd be like Charles
a hero
Bronson.
villain is the villain that wins.
I think that's like comes with the super. I don't think it's a hero villain. It's like winner villain.
I wouldn't. No, I'd be like. I wouldn't be the hero I'd be like a vigilante.
Ugh. So like Deadpool.
Vigilante justice. Yeah, kind of like Deadpool. He's like a.
I was gonna say, you're saying that you're Batman? That's what you're saying.
Batman. I am Batman.
I know.
No.
Yeah. I question Batman's fitness to be in the JLA.
I feel myself more as
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. It's like putting on a black suit does not make you a superhero. It's like, well, he's like, what do you do? What can you do? And then they had him beat Superman. What was that rubbish?
That was rubbish.
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 No, not at all. No. No.
So Ashley wants to know, when a book is finished, do you celebrate in any special way?
When a book is finished, I don't really. I have a daily thing that I do with my friend June, where when I hit my word count every day, she gives me digital cookies in the form of like hot guy gifts that she sends in my messenger. But I don't do anything really special for the finish of the book, other than like I eat my weight in something very sugary and then sleep for 3 days.
I mean, so you get rewarded with hot guy gifts.
That's my cookies for meeting my word count, and it's disturbing. It's so funny.
They must be
because
really
it kind of changes who it is like randomly. So for the last book, it was all just gifts of Peyton Manning.
Why?
It was who?
I know. It's so weird.
Peyton
I don't know, but it was like, I don't know. It worked for that, and now it's somebody else, and it's the whole thing.
Why Peyton Manning? I've got to know why.
I don't know. You know what my problem is that I'm very
Like
attracted
Peyton
to personalities over body type, and like he's somebody that like you kind of want to hate, but you can't. Like he's so funny. And
It's
I don't
not
know.
too bright and it edits beautifully. Do not mess in my lighting.
No, and he has this
What's
huge
that?
forehead for sure. No, I'm not. He's a, I don't know why. It was just a mood I was in at the time, and it kind of stuck.
Sorry, Greg was messing with my lighting, and he's like,
It looks really
it
bright
does
right
not.
here,
It's fine.
Okay.
It will be fine.
It just looks bright because it's reflecting off the crown.
I know it's a lot of bling.
That's what I was trying to just.
A lot of bling. I
I like
it.
it. It edits up nicely.
Okay.
So there. So yeah, I get the whole not liking the regular sort of guy thing. I mean, I have a thing for guys' voices. Like Patrick Stewart has like a really
Engage.
yeah. So I do. I mean, I get that, but I don't think I would want people sending me gifts of Patrick Stewart as a reward.
I think right now we're on to Ben Barnes, who's the Darkling in the new Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, who I have loved since Narnia. Yeah, he's smoking.
Ben Barnes, did you watch Gold Digger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to work.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh my God, you've got
Glitter
loads of
lipstick.
Oh, that's so gross.
Not sorry.
I'm gonna leave while you're talking about all these guys.
Get out.
Bye.
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 Bye. Are you getting done at 4:30?
Yes, I do.
Okay, love you.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Ben Barnes in the new Shadow and Bone series on Netflix.
Same. I've always thought, like Em says to me, he would make such a good vampire because his eyes are so dark.
He would.
So,
He plays a really good villain, like a morally ambiguous character. He does really. I loved him in Punisher. I thought that was fantastic. He was great in that, and I don't think I've ever seen him in something I didn't like him in. So, and the Darkling was like one of my favorite characters in that whole series. So.
I haven't seen him in many things, but I was excited when I saw the trailer, and I was trying to explain it to Greg, and it wasn't going very well because he's got no idea of the books. But we're going to watch it. So, he had no idea. We're all on the live. And he's like, "Well, that trailer looks kind of." I was like, "No, it did not." He's like, "Well, what's the?"
You're like, you don't understand.
He's like, "No, you don't get it. Just watch." And that happens with most of our TV shows. A lot of them just go on in the background. There's very few that Greg's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll watch that." Most of them he watches like in the background. So
yeah.
Right, back to questions now.
Back to questions.
Yeah, Grace was like, yeah.
I'm still out of breath from the haiku. I'm still out of breath from the haiku math.
I know, haiku math. I was like, I can't believe Greg. I was literally not even. I was just like, no, there's no way I could come up with that. I was like, that's on the spot. So if you haven't seen it, I was like, no. That's what's going on. So you can see how fun. Oh,
no.
Yep, I'm crashing.
I'm gonna go with no.
I warned Sherry. I was like, Greg will be coming home for lunch, so he may come down and crash. But she's cool with coming down and crash.
What's that?
That don't.
I'm not saying it's okay. It's between us.
That's all right. I don't even care. That's why do you think I have a cloak on?
It's okay.
And you can't see from the back.
And you can't breathe.
I can't breathe, but it looks good.
Nope. Can't breathe. But boy, you've got a nice
fabulous.
waistline.
I literally lay so much. I was telling Sherry, I lay so much in the back of that. There's like that much gap in the back of these closets.
Yeah, you can't even see on your thing there all the stuff going on there.
That's right.
I got a good view though. We should move the camera up.
I like the feathers though. The feathers are nice.
This,
You
this
got some hair falling from your feathers.
it's
down
feathers,
in here.
feathers falling down.
The wig.
That was slick. I liked it.
It was that she had hair from the wig falling right down in.
You've got a little something down there.
let me get that for you.
Yeah, welcome to
all right, I'll
Life in Our
stop.
House.
That's
Yeah,
very
good
inappropriate for your Zoom call.
That's all right. I already told Sherry, as long as you can get past first 15 minutes, you're okay to swear, because that seems to be YouTube's rule in general.
Thank gosh.
I don't know why. It's kind of weird.
Well, I
but
won't swear. But
You don't swear, you just be completely inappropriate and gropey, but they get that on
I did not grope. There was no gropage.
So much. Trust me, I asked the Muses, I was like, do you want me to split these up into little bits? And they're like, no, we want the full, unedited, long, everything cut. I'm like, okay, but they do that. We do an hour every Sunday, and they're like, stay
The
on.
ladies
stay on.
like it just a little longer. It's nothing wrong with that.
That was good.